Have you ever seen someone smile when their world is falling apart? Not a fake smile, but one that's so calm, so serene, it sends a shiver down your spine. That was Mark, and his smile was the beginning of the end of our marriage. It all started on what should have been a normal Tuesday. I came home a little later than usual. The house was quiet, which was strange. Mark was usually puttering around, music playing softly, the scent of whatever he was experimenting with for dinner in the air, but that day there was just silence. I found him in the living room, sitting on our sofa, the one we'd picked out together, the one where we'd spent countless nights watching movies. He was just sitting there, staring at a small framed photo on the coffee table. It was a picture of us, from our honeymoon. We were so young, so full of hope. He didn't look up when I walked in. He just kept staring at that photo. "Hi, honey," I said, my voice sounding a little too loud in the stillness. "What's up? Why so quiet?" He finally looked at me, and that's when I saw it. The smile. It wasn't his usual warm, crinkly-eyed grin. This was something else. It was calm, distant, and it didn't reach his eyes. "Hello, Sarah," he said, his voice perfectly even. "We need to talk." My heart started to hammer against my ribs. I knew in that instant that this wasn't going to be a conversation about what to have for dinner. I knew he knew. I'd been careless. I thought I was so smart, so clever, covering my tracks. The late nights at the office, the business trips that were a little too frequent, the secretive texts I thought he never saw. I'd been living a double life for almost a year with a colleague from work, Alex. It was exciting, it was reckless, and it was a betrayal of the deepest kind to the man sitting in front of me. The man who had only ever shown me kindness and unwavering support. I had convinced myself that Mark was too absorbed in his own world, too trusting to ever suspect a thing. How wrong I was. "Talk about what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, feigning ignorance. It was a weak attempt, and we both knew it. He didn't answer right away. He picked up the photo frame, his thumb gently tracing my smiling face in the picture. "I remember this day," he said, his voice soft, almost a whisper. "We were in Italy. You were so worried about getting your dress dirty, but I told you it didn't matter. All that mattered was that moment." He paused, placing the photo back on the table with surgical precision. Then he looked directly into my eyes. The smile was still there, a placid mask. "I know about Alex, Sarah." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. All the lies, all the excuses I had mentally prepared, they all just evaporated. There was no point in denying it. The way he said the name, not with anger, not with jealousy, but with a simple, factual finality, told me everything. He had proof. My mind raced, trying to figure out how. Had he seen a text? Heard a phone call? Did someone tell him? I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but what could I say? "I'm sorry?" It felt so insultingly small. "I can explain?" What explanation could possibly justify this? So I just stood there, speechless, the silence of the room pressing in on me. He waited patiently, as if giving me a chance to speak. When I didn't, he continued, his tone still impossibly calm. "I found the hotel receipts in your travel bag, the one from your conference last month, and the emails. You should be more careful about your deleted folder, Sarah." He wasn't being accusatory. He was just stating facts. It was more unnerving than if he had been screaming. I finally found my voice, a pathetic squeak. "Mark, I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake, a huge, terrible mistake." Tears started to well up in my eyes. I was hoping for a reaction. Anger, tears, a shouting match. Anything but this terrifying calm. Anything but that smile. "A mistake?" he repeated, the smile faltering for just a fraction of a second. "No, Sarah. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk from the store." A mistake is taking a wrong turn on the way home. What you did, that was a series of choices. Hundreds of them. Every lie you told, every secret you kept, every time you were with him instead of here. Those were all choices you made, over and over again. He stood up, and for the first time, I saw the deep, soul-crushing weariness in his eyes. The smile was gone, replaced by a profound sadness. I loved you, Sarah. I really did. I thought we were a team. I thought we were forever. While I was at home, planning our future, trying to save up for the house you said you wanted, you were making other choices. He walked over to the hallway closet and pulled out a suitcase. It was already packed. My heart sank. This wasn't a spontaneous discovery. This was planned. He had known, and he had been preparing. "What are you doing?" I choked out, the tears now flowing freely. "Mark, please, don't do this. We can fix this. I'll do anything. I'll quit my job. I'll never see him again. Please, let's go to counseling. Let's work through this." I was begging, grabbing his arm, desperate to stop him. He gently removed my hand from his arm. He didn't flinch, didn't pull away angrily. He just detached. "There's nothing left to fix, Sarah," he said, his voice flat. "You didn't break a plate that can be glued back together. You shattered the foundation. The trust is gone. And I've learned that you can't build a life with someone you can't trust." He looked around the living room, at the life we had built. His gaze lingered on my bookshelf, on the mismatched mugs we collected, on the worn-out armchair that was his favorite spot. There was no anger in his eyes, just a quiet farewell. "I've been thinking a lot these past few weeks," he continued, "while I was trying to make sense of it all. And I realized I've been smiling a lot. I smiled when I found the receipts, not because I was happy, but because it was the truth. It was clarity. The fog of uncertainty was gone. I smiled because I finally knew where I stood. That's when I understood the smile. It wasn't about him being happy with the situation. It was the smile of someone who had hit rock bottom and found, to their surprise, that the ground was solid. It was the smile of acceptance, the smile of a man who had already grieved the loss of his marriage and was now ready to move on. He had processed the pain while I was still blissfully unaware, living in my web of lies. He zipped up his suitcase with a quiet finality. The sound was like a gunshot in the silent room. "I've already spoken to a lawyer," he said, his back to me. "The papers will be sent to you. I've transferred half of our savings to your account. It's fair. I don't want to fight." He turned to face me one last time. The smile was back, but this time it looked different. It looked free. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Sarah. I genuinely do. I hope it was worth it." And with that, he walked to the front door. He didn't slam it. He didn't storm out. He just opened it, stepped through, and pulled it quietly closed behind him. I stood there frozen, listening to his footsteps fade down the walkway, the sound of his car starting, and then the engine noise growing fainter and fainter until it was swallowed by the silence. I never saw him look back. Not once. I was left alone in the quiet house, with the ghost of his smile, the weight of my choices, and the deafening sound of the life I had just lost. He smiled through the pain, and he walked away without a second glance, leaving me to face the wreckage I had created all by myself. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If you've ever been through something similar, remember that your strength is greater than your pain, and you deserve clarity and peace. Please hit that like button if this story resonated with you, and don't forget to subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next video.